Welcome to Tyler's Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Today is March the 25th, 2026. We're going to be talking about NXT because we got two matches got made for the NXT Stand and Deliver. We will find out about the Women's Championship next week. I will tell you guys more about that when we get there. But we found out who's going for the NXT title, and we know that Ruka and Zarya will have a match at Stand and Deliver. And we found out who will face Miles Bourne for the North American title because they had a Gauntlet Eliminator match. They did have a surprise entrance in this match. And ladies and gentlemen, we saw Elio Lafar and Eli Knight got attacked before their match for the tag team title tournament. So now Robert Stone needs to find another team to face Nico Vance and Sean Spears of the Calling to face them and see if they win the tag team tournament and go for the tag team titles at Stand and Deliver. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we did have Ruka coming out and try to question everything of her friendship with Zarya because she doesn't understand the whole thing. Why did Zarya betray her and all that stuff? She say, is it because I didn't tell her that I went to the Saturday Night's Main Event show for John Cena's retirement because Zarya wasn't there? And then she said maybe because the Royal Rumble, I guess I didn't tell her that. And she got upset. She cried. I don't know if she said that. And then she said, but remember, I gave her the opportunity to defend my North American Championship, and she lost. Zarya comes out, and then she says, it's not because of the friendship. I wasn't Zarya. I was just Ruka's partner. So she wasn't happy about that, but she says she still cares about Ruka. It's just she wants to have her opportunities. And Zarya says, you want to have a match with me, she's going to just destroy Ruka to get what she wants. So that's what we're going to get. We got Ruka versus Zarya at Stand and Deliver. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will have, let's talk about the matches first. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we got a match got made for next week. And there's a TNA star. It's been a while we haven't seen a TNA star show up in NXT. Or a AAA guy. We've seen a AAA guy on SmackDown, Dr. Wagner. But we haven't seen a lot of TNAs since Ariana Grace is the NXT, the Knockouts champion. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have another match that's happening next week. It will be Jasper Troy versus Keanu Carver. No referee wants to referee this match because they're scared of those guys. Even suspension and almost getting fired doesn't really help. But Robert Stone needs to find a referee. Josh Briggs tried to talk to Robert Stone the last couple hour. It didn't work out, so he says if there's only one way to get to Madison Square Garden is to be the referee for these two monsters, and that's what he's going to do. So we got Jasper Troy versus Keanu Carver with special guest referee Josh Briggs. Okay. The three monsters will be in the same ring with each other. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first match of the evening, we got Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair will be versus Lainey Reed and Paulin Hanley. Remember, Kendall Gray vacated her Evolve Championship, or Women's Championship, to be part of NXT and go for the NXT Women's Championship at Stand and Deliver. But now she has to go through Fatal Influence, not JC Jane. But ladies and gentlemen, it was a pretty decent tag team match, but the winner of that match with a double submission was Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair. And then Kendall Gray says she wants the title shot at Stand and Deliver. She wants to beat Miss JC Jane. And then Lola Vice says, yeah, I respect you. You will win a championship in NXT, but not at Stand and Deliver because Lola Vice wants her shots. Robert Stone made a match next week, No One Contenders match, to face JC Jane at Stand and Deliver on April 4th. It will be Lola Vice versus Kendall Gray. We have Kalani Jordan versus Thea Hale. It was a pretty decent match for both these ladies. The winner of that match was Kalani Jordan. Remember what Kalani Jordan told Thea Hale? Stop being a goody-goody. And Thea Hale attacked Kalani Jordan after the match. But Kalani Jordan had the upper hand and attacked Thea Hale and did some weird submission on her. And then here comes Jada Parker making the save for Thea Hale. So Jada Parker next week at Madison Square Garden will face Kalani Jordan, thanks to Robert Stone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Tatum Paxley is upset because Blake Moreau stole the NXT Women's North American title when she grabbed Tatum Paxley and pull her down the ramp, under the ramp, and she stole the championship. And Tatum Paxley is trying to find her. Robert Stone doesn't know where she's at. He didn't see her. But Charlotte Hill says, I will help you. So, Charlotte Hill did find Blake Moreau in her hotel. So, Tatum Paxley went to the hotel, and just like the old school Blake Moreau video package, she was in her bathtub, being in the bathtub with the championship, but you heard a knock on the door, and she thought it was room service. But it was Tatum Paxley, and she says, you bring my championship next week, or else. She grabs her by the hair when she opens the door and puts her arm through the door and grabs her hair and threatens her to bring the championship next week. We will see what happens there. I guess we're going to have that match that happened at Stand and Deliver. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a gauntlet match. It was a lot of people. We got Dion Lennox, we got Jackson Drake, we got Charlotte Hill. Who was the last guy? I know who the fifth guy is. Who's the fourth guy? Who was the fourth guy? I forgot who the fourth guy was. But yeah, you know what I mean. It's a gauntlet eliminator match. It's like what we saw on 2K26. The gauntlet eliminator is not a normal eliminator. It's like a Royal Rumble. When a whole bunch of people come in and then but the only way to win is by pinfall or submission. But ladies and gentlemen, the surprise entrance was Johnny Gargano. But he was still acting like how he was acting like in SmackDown. He was upset and he wants to lay down. Candice forced him to come out. She helped him to the ring and all that stuff. And then he got knocked out by Jackson Drake, and he was on the apron, laying down, doing a little planking on the apron for the whole match. So everybody got eliminated except for Charlotte Hill. And ladies and gentlemen, Charlotte Hill got knocked out by the right berth. And then, ladies and gentlemen, when he was knocked out, Johnny stood up. And then Candice just shoves Johnny into to make a pin on Charlotte Hill and the winner of that match, and go into the North American Championship at Stand and Deliver will be Johnny Gargano. Will be versus Miles Bourne. During that match, ladies and gentlemen, we got Dion Lennox got attacked by OTM. And when they had an interview with somebody, I think it was Sarah Scarberger? I don't know her last name. But yeah, her. And they issued a challenge, a 6-man tag team match to the Dark States, but we don't know who their tag team partner is. But they said that they don't have any friends in NXT, so they look outside of NXT, and there was somebody pop up on the TV screen, and it was the TNA's World Champion, Mike Santana. And he will be the tag team partner of OTM. Finally, we get a TNA superstar showing up on NXT. It's been a while since the Knockouts of World Tag Team Championship match. And that was like a couple months ago. So that's pretty cool. We get Mike Santana, but will he win? Will he be the world champion after this Friday's sacrifice against Steve Maclin? He's holding the championship now. Will he be holding it after sacrifice? We have no idea. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we were supposed to have the tag team tournament between Eli Knight, I'm going to say Elio Knight, Eli Knight and Elio LaFar to versus The Calling. But, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Stone has a new tag team to replace them, and it was the Los Americanos. Because they beat this is why they're in this match. Because the Americanos won last week against the Vanity Project in a 6-man tag team match. And that's why they're in this match. It was a pretty decent match. Bravo and Ryo was pretty good. And the winner of that match was the Americanos. They get the win. I guess it's a 4-team tournament. Because remember, the Right Birth won the match against Hank and Tank. And then the Americanos. And then they said there's a no contenders match next week. So I'm guessing whoever wins this match next week will get a shot at the NXT Tag Team titles. Well, our main event was Tony D'Angelo versus Ricky Sainz with Ethan Page in his corner. Ethan Page told Ricky Sainz that he wants the NXT Championship. And he told Ricky Sainz that I'm the one that pinned Joe Hendry. But Joe Hendry says if you don't handle Tony D'Angelo to Ricky Sainz, he says he will handle him. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. But, ladies and gentlemen, it was a pretty decent match until Ethan Page got involved and made it a no contest. And Ricky Sainz and Ethan Page was just attacking Tony D'Angelo until Joe Hendry comes out, makes the save. But Joe Hendry attacks Tony D'Angelo as well because he remembers that spear that Tony D'Angelo gave him last week. And then, ladies and gentlemen, at the end, Robert Stone got interviewed, and the interviewer asked, what are you going to do with the NXT title for Stand and Deliver? And he just answered, it will be a fatal 4-way match. Ricky Sainz, Ethan Page, Joe Hendry, and Tony D'Angelo. That's going to be interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, leave a comment below, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys tomorrow for AEW results. Time is out. Bye.